Out.
Good morning and welcome to A Better World with Julann and Fran. I'm Julann.
And I'm Fran. And today we have Carolina Suero, our special guest, who's a certified hypnotherapist and an IEMT practitioner. Welcome, Carolina.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Thank you so much for having me today.
Will you tell us what IEMT stands for?
Sure, it's integral eye movement therapy. Here in the US, we have to say techniques, but it's a technique that helps release negative emotions, unresolved feelings using guided eye movements.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and you don't even have to get into the details of what the issue is. So I guess you don't have to share too much context, which is great for some clients that stray away from, not wanting to get deep into past events.
Wow. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Do you mind?
Sure. So essentially, it works by interrupting unhelpful emotional patterns and helping the mind process distressing memories. So typically, our good memories get processed and kind of filed away in our brains. And traumatic or negative things tend to not get time stamped and put away. So we're kind of stuck in a loop and it replays. So it can be, when a song comes on, you think of, oh my gosh, third grade, I was so humiliated by this thing. Or it's been really great for traumatic events or trauma. And so basically the way that it goes is what's the problem? And you'll explain. And then you give it a number on a scale of 1 to 10, like a SUDS. And we'll give it a label. And then I'll ask you, when is the first time you can think of feeling this way? It may not be the first time now that it happened, but whatever comes to mind first. And so then I'll guide you through the eye movements, and that's pretty much it.
That's pretty cool.
Oh,
It's
that's very
really
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned the word SUDS. That stands for subjective units of distress. So the person, when you're assigning the number, you ask the person, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how distressing is it for you? And they
Yeah.
choose, okay. And then
Yeah.
also, I wouldn't ask you to reveal any of the personal, any of the personal details of your clients, but I happen to know somebody who received that therapy. And what had happened to her was that her husband had committed suicide by hanging, and she'd found the body. And it was, of course, a very traumatic situation for her. And she said that the therapy helped her enormously. It really helped her, be able to go on with her life. She had two young daughters and a young son, I think, and she had to, be mom for them. So it's a very effective therapy.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Okay.
how long have you been doing this?
I think I trained with Lori late towards the beginning of 2023, I believe. And so, yeah, it had to have been 2023 because I did the advanced practitioner at the end of 2023. So yeah, a couple of years now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. And do you find yourself attracting particular people with a particular issue?
Yes and no. Um, 'Cause I feel like I'm a general practitioner, right? So I've seen people, maybe if I think about it, just people feeling stuck and with blocks, um, or anxiety and overwhelm, and a lot of self-sabotage. So I would say those are probably my most common ones. Recently, forms of not substance addiction, but different types of addictive behaviors or thought patterns have come up. Yeah, it's been really interesting and fun. And to see, when I say fun, is just to see my clients' progress and that aha moment when things finally like come together. I feel like that's so beautiful. And it really like it lights me up and it fills me up. So yeah.
That is nice.
That is wonderful. Do you feel like this is what you were meant to be doing?
Yes. So I come from an accounting background. I have a bookkeeping firm, and I've been doing that for many, many, many years. And that's actually how I came across hypnotherapy. Was I was at a networking meeting for my bookkeeping practice, and there was a hypnotherapist in the group. And so in the group, you have to have like one-on-ones with each of the group members. And so I got to talking to the hypnotherapist, who is my mentor. I love him so much. I think Fran, you went to HMI, right?
I
Did
did.
you, Julann?
No, I
No?
didn't. I'm not. No.
Okay. So Dr. John McGrail.
Ah,
And yeah. So I forgot where I was going with this, but yeah, that's how I got into it. And through my own personal journey, I was just like, well, numbers are fun for me. It's like putting the puzzle pieces together for the end result of a P&L report, balance sheet to give to the tax preparer. There was something missing from my life, and that was like purpose. And for me, in my first session, I had such a profound shift internally that I was just like, wow, this is something I cannot not share with others. So that's how I feel like this is something I'm meant to do. Yeah.
that's wonderful.
Yes. Making a difference, making people like how rewarding to be able to help somebody get through a traumatic experience or something that's keeping them stuck. And that's a great way to make the world a better place, really.
Yeah. And for me, I think it stems from, reconnecting to our inner peace and our personal power. I feel like we forget that change is possible and that change is a choice. It's not always easy, right? But change is possible. So, and there's not like a one size fits all for everybody. So IEMT is not, people that have epilepsy or ocular diseases are not candidates for those, are contraindications. So I'll bring in EFT. There's so many different modalities, so many different tools to aid in our healing. And I think it doesn't have to be so hard, and that we can have inner peace in the midst of chaos, right? So it's great when we're sitting here in a quiet room meditating and being mindful, but what happens when you're driving and somebody cuts you off, right? Can you maintain that inner peace, right? Or can you notice the emotion that's coming through and just let it through? So yeah, I love this work.
You mentioned EFT. May I ask you to describe what that is for our listeners who may not know?
Emotional freedom technique. So tapping in different parts. And I guess it helps release emotions as well.
Yeah, usually what I tell my EFT clients is that what seems to be the problem is not really the problem. The real problem is your connection to it, your attachment to it. So what we have to do is get you disconnected from that emotion. And often what happens with EFT is that either the problem stops seeming like a problem. Sometimes it clears up on its own. Sometimes the solution suddenly becomes clear to the person who felt, maybe hopeless about it in the past. And what you said earlier about the way we respond to positive and negative events. Yes, we do have a tendency to experience the positive ones and then sort of file them away, but the negative ones do seem to have a stronger impact upon us. And the way that I usually describe that to when I'm, giving talks is that we, from the earliest humans on this planet, we had to be continuously on the lookout for things that were threats to our lives. Because when we first began here, we hadn't yet invented weapons, we didn't have shelter or anything like that. And we had to be constantly scanning the horizon for bad things. And that's been passed down to us, even though our lives are not that that dangerous any longer. We still have a tendency to look for negative things and to notice the negative things in a much bigger way than the positive things. So that's an excellent thing to be making your clients aware of on a conscious level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we don't realize we're doing it. We do it so automatically, and when it's brought to your conscious mind, then you know that you can do something about it. You can, as you said, you can change, you can alter the situation.
Yeah, and I feel like self-awareness in a whole bunch of different domains is really a key factor, am I making kind choices for myself? The inner critic, the inner dialogue, how are we speaking to ourselves? How are we treating ourselves? Are you saying, oh my gosh, I'm so ugly, I'm so stupid, I can't believe I did that? One of the homework or home play assignments I love to give my clients is treat yourself like the love of your life. Like, you wouldn't call the love of your life, you're stupid, you're fat, whatever, cancel. But how would you treat them? Would you be gentle with them when you're taking a shower? Do you use scalding hot water on yourself? Or how are you scrubbing your skin? Like, just all these, there's so many different things to that we're not aware of how we're being, and we're just caught in the automatic of doing. So yeah.
Being present, that's so important. I find that sometimes out of nowhere, I will think, let's say you said taking a shower, to take just a second and really pay attention to washing yourself and the water. And like I try to be grateful. I take a pause because we're so busy running around and being in the chaos that we don't take a second to enjoy whatever it is. We talk about it every week, being grateful, and no matter how bad things are, no matter what kind of chaos you're going through, there's always something to be grateful for. If you could take a second just to notice like I can hear chimes out in the backyard. Usually they're tied for winter, so you don't hear them, but now the tie came loose, so I can hear it. It's a constant little reminder that there's so many joys that you're missing because you're not, you're not really paying attention. And I think that would help everybody, even when they go to the grocery store and they're rushing to get first online at Costco for gas, or, take a minute, be grateful for the car, the sunny day, you know what I mean? It could make such a difference, and helping people to realize that, to be nice to yourself. How often are we impatient with ourselves, I watch my grandkids. That's what I do now. So it's hectic, right? My grandson is going to be 3 in July, and he has epilepsy. He has a genetic disorder. So he has seizures, and they're in the process of working out a treatment and changing his medications and things. And you don't want to get bogged down. I know that sounds silly, but finding that joy every day, the days he doesn't have it, or the new things he learns, or I don't know, just there's so many joys that we can find. And it's so nice that you're helping people realize to be nicer to themselves, really, in the
Yeah.
process of the journey.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think change starts with ourselves. Like what do they say? Be the change you want to see in the world.
That's right.
And so um yeah, it's like I'll be the first one to admit it's not always easy.
Easy.
You
That's
know,
right.
it's not always easy. Uh, It's not, but the more we practice, the easier it becomes. Um, and it's easier to, you have your automatic reactions versus the responses you choose. And so I'm big on that. Like I notice, I pay attention to my automatics, and I was like, oh wait, no, that's my automatic reaction. How do I want to respond in this situation? And sometimes you're having to make decisions really quickly, and things happen so fast. And so it can be challenging, but it's not impossible. So
Right, it's not impossible. And when you've made the change, how wonderful you feel. I mean, now you're feeling better, and you're responsible for the fact that you're feeling better. So how powerful that makes your clients feel.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, that's great. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's a good way for them to do that?
Sure. They can go to my website, carolinasuero.com. There's a book a discovery call button, and they can schedule a call that works with their schedule. You can find me on Instagram at, I think the handle is the Carolina Suero. I've shared a couple of meditations on there. Or you could just send me a DM there, a direct message. But yeah, that's the easiest way to get a hold of me.
All right, well, that's wonderful. And are there any final thoughts you have on how to make the world a better place?
Come from a place of love. And everything you do, intentional and with love, I think is what I would like to add.
Oh, that's great. That's a great bit of advice. Well, thank you. This has been a wonderful podcast, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
for
much.
having me. It was a
Okay,
pleasure
this has
meeting
been,
you.
thank you. It's
Keep
been,
up the good work.
yes, please
You
do.
too.
Thanks.
This has been A Better World with Julann and Fran. Thanks for joining us.